There is mathematics for lawyers and mathematics for accountants. Yeah, the description there looks a bit confusing, but the figures point to 1.2 million.
Chair, what I'm trying to say, and the other one you are just in conclusion, is that somebody who prepared these documents is not what has to get corrected. Because it is starting from simple typo errors to non-responsiveness and documentation to lack of prescription. And who is David Montet? Who is David Montet through the chair? Why would you sign a document that does not give the true account of what is happening? Chair, because that document, the description of the amount does not tell you what is.
I think if the governor has chosen to provide records that will implicate him,
Okay.
let him be implicated.
Okay.
It is not our business to guide him on the right documents to bring, because we shall subject these documents to a very powerful lens. Because even that professional opinion you have cited, on page 1 on basic information, the date the tender of quotations were invited is 10th of November 2023, and yet that memo has been signed in the year 2022.
24th November.
Yeah, so it is not our duty to tell the governor to go back and amend these records. We shall process the records as they are. So on your first request that the governor withdraws, I think let us deal with whatever has been presented before us, and let us take a decision on the basis of what the governor has presented.
Chair, for me, I want some clarity on two issues. Governor, you will present to us the original budget for this financial year. I wanted to understand, was this equipment originally budgeted in the original budget before you did the supplementary? The quick yes or no?
No, they were not. Remember, we came in and we wanted to do the supplementary budget so that we go as per the needs of the county government at that time.
So initially it was not budgeted?
No, it was not. Remember, it was...
What was the total budget for financial year 2022-2023? These are figures you should have.
14.5 billion.
So you introduce an item that is almost 10% in a supplementary budget, 10% of the entire budget. That is what you did. Because the item here is 1.4, but we will look at that. The documentation you provided, does it include ownership documents of these companies?
Yes.
Which annex are those?
Ownership is not indicated. No.
Okay, but I can see they were part of the tender evaluation, and they are public documents that we can always get. We can get. There is an allegation, Governor, just give me an answer. Do you know the owners of these two companies? Are they persons known to you?
No.
They are not known to you?
No.
Okay.
These are companies that you get when people apply.
Okay. So, but when you see the ownership details, those people are not known to you at all?
No.
Okay. The machines were delivered in full?
Absolutely.
You have the ownership documents registered in the name of the county?
I do.
Are they part of this?
It was not requested. Otherwise, we have the logs.
Oh, that's very good. Where are the machines right now? What is their current state?
They are all in the county government branch in Narok.
Does the county do maintenance of the machines itself, or is it contracted out to someone?
We have contracted somebody to do for that for us.
How much do you spend a month on those equipment?
It depends on the usage. It depends on that. On average, I have to look at that because it was not part of the question, so I need to look at that.
Okay, so who does the management?
It's a company called Grade A. Grade A.
Called what?
It's called Grade A.
Grade A.
Yes, that's the maintenance.
Thank you, Chair. Senator Ntutu.
Your Excellency, I would like to pick up from Senator Buana's submissions. My question is, are you familiar with the law governing supplementary budget? Does this impose any limitations on you?
It does.
Did you comply with the law?
Yes, we did.
Because if the law allows you to amend, to adjust up to 10% of a vote, an item. And from what Senator Buana said, the voting machines were about 10% of the entire budget. Do you see any legality in that?
You know, we split the budget for 2 years, so we did comply with the law.
Which item in the budget were you adjusting that became 10% of what you are adjusting?
Senator, that was not part of the question that I was asked, otherwise I would have prepared myself accordingly on the question that you asked. Because I need to go to the numbers. And the numbers.
Yes, but you have the experts.
I do, but they need
Your team is here.
Governor, please process your response through the chair. I do not want to direct engagement with my members.
Let me give my county secretary to.
Honorable Chair, will I take to answer
Point of order, Chair, what is the qualification background of the county secretary? Through the chair.
Honorable Chair, I am a lawyer by profession. Honorable Chair, to respond to the Honorable Senator Mtata's question. First, the amount was not paid within one financial year. It was paid in a period that transcends into the next financial year.
Was the budget adjusted within one financial year? I think that's a question of the threshold of 10%. Yes. Leave alone how you paid out.
We did a supplementary budget to accommodate a substantial amount of the cost of the machines.
Of how much? Because you have your supplementary budget here.
You can ask the CC to check.
You know, Chair, there's something the governor has said there. I want you to be very careful, Governor. It's better for you to wait for documentation than to speak under oath and say something that might not be accurate. You have said in the original budget there was no provision for these machines.
Honorable Senator, there was a provision for purchase of machines, but not to the tune of the substantial amount
That's the reason, Chair, I am telling the governor, the team is here, let them help you. Because I am aware that there was an amount in the original budget for this park. It was adjusted 1.4 billion. And that is the conversation we want to have with you, Senator Mtata. Are you aware of the limitations of how much you can make adjustments in a supplementary budget to a vote?
Yes, Honorable Senator, and that was why I was going to my second point, which is if you also study the budgets of Narok County for that financial year, you realize that there was an increment of about a similar amount of 1.3 billion in our consoles revenue, which most of it is what we had to be budgeted to go to that cost.
Could you just take us to the supplementary budget for one of the contracts, one of the tenders? I know we are directed that you need to provide the original budget. Just refer us to the appendix that had the supplementary budget. That is, so we say for farm engineering, that would be appendix. On farm engineering, Narok County supplementary budget 1. Now, when you do your supplementary budget, isn't there a column on original estimate?
So where's the column on original estimate here?
Chairman, this is just an extract of the department concerned. But as you require, we can even provide the whole budget.
Did you truncate the supplementary budget? Because how would you process a supplementary budget without reference to the original budget? And PBO, when you're doing a supplementary, don't you have a column on the original estimate and then the revised estimate?
Chair, supplementary budget arose because of need for unforeseen expenditure. So when you have a supplementary budget, you need now to have a column for the printed estimate, the original budget, and a column for supplementary budget, so that we see now what the change, so that it should not be more than 10% of changes in votes and the entire budget, what was approved originally by the Council Assembly, and the additional expenditure. So we need to have the two columns for comparison purpose, which should not be not more than 10% in terms of votes and in terms of the original budget.
So CC Finance in Appendix 25, could you just demonstrate that to us? I'm seeing the first column. And Appendix 25 on farm engineering. We're just taking that as a sample. Because we have said we need to see the original budget, but nonetheless, the supplementary budget, there needs to be a column. CC,
Yes, Chairman.
can you explain to us this, whatever you've attached here?
The Chairman is there, the first column.
So the first column is the original estimate,
Yes, that was the original estimate.
42 million.
Not 42 million, Chairman. Yes, 42 million.
So 1.4 billion is a revised estimate.
Yes, Chairman.
To what extent does it comply with the query raised by Senator Ntutu on the limitations on supplementary estimates?
Chairman, as you see, this was actually this was the proposed budget. By the time we are making this advert for the earth-moving machines, and
The question is threshold,
yes,
10%. I think it's been cited by Senator Buana and Senator Ntutu. Just address yourself to that.
Chair, in the Public Finance Management Act, this section 154. 2C. 152 brackets 2 brackets C. 154, section 154, the Public Finance Management Act. The total of all the allocations made to or from a program or subvote does not exceed 10% of the total expenditure approved for the program or subvote for that year. Very clear in the law.
So, Governor, your statement on compliance with Section 154 of the PFM Act.
Honorable Senator, the issue of the additional revenue.
Remember, there's program, vote, or sub-vote. I think that's the wording of the law. I know you want to make an argument for global increment, but it's very specific.
And checks the local revenue is not as national.
Yeah.
It must be appropriated.
Honorable Chair, what I want to advise the Council Secretary, we are our colleague in the profession, at least me and Senator Bonanti. If something is wrong, it is wrong. Even if by some miracle oil was discovered in Narok and it began to be produced immediately and you ran into 10 billion shillings in 1 month, you cannot, in a supplementary budget, exceed the threshold that has been set there. So that line of argument you want to take is a dangerous line of argument. Whether there was an increase in all sources, that is not the point. On a vote, in fact, if it was 42 million and you move it to 1.4 billion, that's 10% of the entire budget of Narok. 10% of the entire budget. That is not acceptable. So from the beginning, you can see these are illegality now. That's what they say. The tender was an illegality from the beginning. And as a council, you know, I don't want my chair to start saying you be recommended to the Law Society of Kenya.
Yes.
Don't go in that direction at all. Just accept there's a problem, there's a problem.
And that's the reason why we insisted on seeing the original budget. Here we are making the assumption that the first column is the column on original budget. But you see, it gives rise to a lot of other things that is not restricted to the purchase of earth-moving equipment. It gives rise to questions around budget execution and the lawfulness of the budgeting process in Narok County. Let's get back to Senator Ntutu so that he finalizes this point.
Yeah, the second thing is that the same thing of this particular facility law is highly abused. Other than the limitation on amount that can be spent, there is also the justification. There must be an emergency, there must be an unforeseen expenditure and stuff like that. What were these conditions that made it necessary to go for a supplemental budget of this item? What was the emergency we are trying to address? What was the unforeseen circumstances? But the supplemental budget is not just room for the executive to play around with figures that have been approved by through public participation. It's first constrained by, and what the emergency funds to not address the issue that we have arisen. So I'll make you incur that reason.
So, Governor, as you respond to that, you also clarify to us, because we don't see a date on this supplementary budget. Just clarify whether the supplementary was raised before the procurement or the supplementary came after to regularize the procurement.
Chair.
Just a minute, Senator, so that we consolidate the questions.
Yeah, Chair, I don't know whether this question was asked. I want to know whether there was an approval by the Assembly that has been submitted here. Number two, whether the equipments are already purchased. Where are the copies of the logbook and the rest? Those are the issues I wanted to raise.
Okay, I think the ownership documents have been canvassed, and we'll probably be giving directions for those copies to be provided to the Senate. But your first question, I think the Governor will need to respond to.
So the all of
Yes,
them.
what happened to the second one?
On ownership documents?
Yes.
No, it had been canvassed, so we'll just be giving directions for the ownership documents.
Okay. Chair, according to, I think, Regulation 48, or the county regulations on public finance and management act, on the budget variation, was the CCM of finance. The law demands under that regulation that if there is budget variation, under regulations of county regulations, PMF Act, should be informed. Was the CCM concerned with finance chair, or were you informed by the line departments, and is there official correspondence to that matter? And finally, Governor, when you use 122 million plus to repair the earth-moving machine, was it justified? Is there a justification to that effect, or purchasing a new one? Considering repairs can sometimes be costly and might not give value. So was it justified to use 122 million to repair that machine as opposed as to acquiring a new one? Chair, those are my two questions.
Okay. Members, Senator Ntutu, do you want to tie your question to the other members, or you have a fresh?
No, I'm going to rely on it, and I will also just pray that he looked at the spirit of the Constitution in Article 223, Clause 5, where it governs how to use appropriated, how to use an supplemental budget at the national level. It is very, very important that the Narok complies with those requirements, which are also reflected from the accounts in the Public Finance Management Act. So you can just respond the way you asked to the question that the group has posed.
Okay, Governor. Senator, so thank you along the same line, so that we consolidate, or it's a different? Okay, then let the Governor respond first.
Thank you, Chair. Let me begin by saying that I want to request if we can come with the original budget, so that we tied with the supplementary budget. Because I think there is something that is missing here, and we need to ask you for time to come up with the original, and then we tie it with the supplementary. That's the only time we can do the calculation and see the 10% that we're talking about. Number two, to answer the senator, what was the reason of buying these machines? Let me inform the senators that we have a natural resource called Masai Mara, where we have to make sure that the road infrastructure for the tourists are passable. And when we came in, and when I came in as a governor, we really needed to repair the moving machines that were there, but it was not enough. So there was a need for us to have those machines because we have airstrips that the aeroplanes or cannot land if they are not well done. That's number one. And Mara is big, such that we needed those machines. The other issue is that 70% of Narok is agricultural. So the few machines that we have that were repairable was not enough. And there was an emergency that we needed to do roads for our county so that people can, transport their farm produce from the farm to the market. Remember now we are producing a large amount of wheat, potatoes, maize, and without that, it's a standstill. And I can even tell you, without the produce from now, probably this country would have suffered a lot. And there was a need, and that is why we ended up, we needed new machines, which really helped us. Had it not this rain, the Nino rain, most of the roads of Narok would have made because of the new machine. I also want to make this request, that we invite the committee to also come to Narok and see that these machines are there. There are 98 in number. So it's not just one machine, as the Senator Fernandi was alluding to, that there's a big, it's a set of machines, such that we have got 6 pairs per constituencies, and I have 6 constituencies. And these would have really helped my county, both to take care of the Masai Mara National Reserve and also to take care of the other parts of Narok that are more agricultural. So this one, without it, you cannot do anything in Narok. So that was the agency, Honorable Senator. So I request that my submission is that if I can get time to get the original budget and then I tie with the supplementary budget, then I think we can be able to make headways on that. Thank you.
Senator Sifuna?
Yeah, another thing, Governor, I want you to do for me.
Yes.
First of all, there is this annexure 13.
Yes.
Which is a gender evaluation report.
That's which
For the
which 5% on farm machine? Yes.
It's annexure 13.
Annexure 13?
Yes. So on page 5 of that annexure, there is members of staff who are appointed to facilitate the evaluation process. I don't know if you are on that page. Under the paragraph 3.4, yes,
Yeah, 3.4.
So, Governor, can you confirm that those officers are still in county government? Is Ken Saitoti still there?
Yes, it's still there.
Lanoi Committee?
Lanoi Committee is still there.
Then Lasoi?
Yes, Lasoi, Senior Supply Manager, yes.
Yes, Berry Lakini?
Akinyi, yes, Akinyi.
And John now?
Yes. He was seconded to our county, so he had moved to chief.
Chair on Betty Lakini, she is a mechanical engineer, works with the national government, and we asked.
Very well. Is John Laon still around, Governor? They can be reached, all these people.
Yes.
Now, if you go to the evaluation criteria at 4.0, you will see at number 5, these people were supposed to look at the certified copies of the CR12 details. That is the ownership of these companies, Governor. Now, I want to ask you, are you aware of any relationship between these two companies?
No, I'm not.
You are not aware?
No.
So you ask that team if they looked at the CR12s of those two companies, because I happen to have copies of those two CR12s, and you will see, Governor, that the ownership is the same.
Name the companies, please.
There are two companies, Chair. It is TSSL that got part of the 10, and this farm engineering that got part of the 10. Chair, if you examine those documents, the ownership documents of those two companies, there is a gentleman by the name, and you will see it because they are records of your own procurement. There's a gentleman called Panvir Kaur Burji, who is a director in both of those companies. And the allegation now is that he has a relationship with the other directors of farm engineering. And you will see there is very many Burjis in that farm engineering CR12. There is a gentleman called Swanjit Singh Burji, Panvir Kaur Burji, and Guprit Kaur Burji. So sit with your evaluation team.
Senator, those are two different companies. So when you say they are related, as far as we are concerned,
Governor, let's allow the Senator to finish.
My name is Edwin Sifun. I am a director in TSSL, and I am also a director in farm engineering. That is a relationship between those two companies. Would you agree or not?
Honorable Senator, agree if you are a director in one company and a director in another company.
Is your mic on?
Yes, please.
Yeah, just raise your voice a bit.
But these two tenders were not related in any way. They are totally different procurement.
We will come back. I think you have missed the point. When related parties place a bid for the same tender, what happens?
Chair, where I was going, let me just finish. Because if you go to page 3 of that tender evaluation report, there is a list of all the people who bid for this work. You have seen the list of 14 companies. We're on the same page. Are you there?
yes, to number 14, yes.
You can see there are 14 companies.
Correct.
It cannot be coincidence that the two companies that won this tender, out of those 14 companies, have similar directors. How is that possible?
Honorable Senator, if you notice, in the bid for supply of the machines, TSSL actually withdrew from the process, and their tender was never completed.
What do you mean? They never got the work?
The work was awarded to family.
TSSL never got the tender. Why are these files here? What are these 14?
There are different tenders.
There are two tenders. TSSL won the tender for repair of machines.
That's what I'm asking.
And farm
Is it a coincidence that these two companies, which have the same directors, are the only ones winning tenders in Narok?
We want to submit, Senator, that this was pure coincidence. And it was an open tender. We
It's
never had
coincidence.
control. We never had control of who will apply for the tender.
You're saying it's coincidence?
Yes, Senator.
Okay.
I think there must be a way of professionally establishing whether there's a relationship between the leaders. And we will at some point ask the Auditor General, because we had agreed that there's some further analysis that the Auditor General must carry out. Because where there's a relationship between leaders, that points to collusion in the procurement exercise. And the procurement law has clear provisions on how that is dealt with. And we must then establish whether that was dealt with in accordance with the procurement laws. because I'm looking at the evaluation minutes that Senator Sifuna has referred to. I do not see anywhere where the assertions of the county secretary are captured that one party would drink. We know that there are two tenders, there are two separate tenders. The concern or the contention is when related parties bid for the same, and then you proceed to evaluate and then award to a party that had placed two bids and trying to game the system. So that requires to be looked into, and I think a cursory look at the papers before us is not going to provide light. Prima facie, there seems to be a problem. Senator Ntutu.
I think it points to tender rating, whereby parties can compromise a tender by polluting. And so it's not an innocent concern that Senator Sifuna raising. And I recommend that the further interrogation of the issue be done by the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. And then as I wind up, I just go back to the last issue. Already the chair to notice that in his remarks, His Excellency flouted the accuracy of the supplementary budget. And in effect, President is only to be 25. So among the documents which were verified, which applied, is a correction of the error that he noticed on this document in terms of the figures involved. That's okay.
Thank you. Senator Cherokee.
Maybe government did not answer my question of regulation. And this, I don't know why CCM Finance is not talking. Because there was an exception. Because I asked a question under Regulation 48 of the Public Finance and Management Act. The regulation requires that you must be property, especially on budget variation. And we have seen that it is beyond 10% that is provided. So was there any communication, official correspondence through CCM Finance for this aspect? Number two, I can see there is just a follow-up on Senator Sifuna. In the Annex 18, there is Nakil Pandya, who has written to withdraw from the tender. Withdraw from tender for proposed supply and delivery of that movement. He says it is hereby, so there could be an holy alliance or incest within Narok County government. From above, this has been asserted by our sister company, showing interest in participating in the tender. So it looks like there is an unholy incest within Narok, extrapolating from what Senator Sifuna has said. Because if sisters and brothers are applying and deciding, since you are the one, you go ahead. So I think I agree with Senator Mutata that EACC should take up this matter and follow who these sisters and brothers are in Narok. They decide that let us apply. When they see somebody, they write a withdrawal letter to close out other tenders. So I think I just wanted to tie upon Senator Sifuna in Annex number 18 on farm machinery. And it is the same fellas by the name Nakil Pandya, director. So Chair, I think what we just need to request and recommend is that EACC takes up this matter. Because this incest is not what the Public Finance Management Act envisaged, or even under the Constitution on appropriation of the budget. So on my question on Regulation 48, then it can be answered. But
you know, Chair, what Senator Cherokee has brought out is exactly what I was trying to demonstrate.
correct?
That it cannot be coincidence.
Yes.
That two companies bid, one withdraws from one tender,
And he says
the other
my
gets,
sister.
and then the other tender now is awarded to the person who withdrew from the other tender. It cannot be coincidence, Governor.
And they have said on record, our sister company.
Okay, the records are before us. It is for us now to scrutinize and take a decision. Senator, so that I know the Speaker has convened
My
another meeting.
request for approval by Assembly has not been addressed.
For the supplementary or the main budget?
Sorry?
For the supplementary report, for both.
Yeah.
Chair, we are also ready to provide
Sorry?
together with the other documents.
You don't have it,
What the
because
count-
that would have been very important.
Yeah, what the county secretary is saying is that both for the supplementary and the main budget, normally he has to go through the county assembly, so we do have to. It was not
Yeah,
one.
that should have been one of the documents you have attached here, so that you have followed the due process.
CC Finance, Senator Turaki has asked a question whether you are were aware of these adjustments. The response needs to come from you.
Chairman, I was informed by the relevant department on this adjustment in writing, and as the governor said, we'll be able now to provide in the budget that was approved by the county assembly, which now replaces the draft that we are given.